Hey guys. So before I get into the story today, I just want to tell you I will have another financial video for you next week. So make sure you click subscribe if you haven't already, so you can follow up with that. I think it's going to be one that you guys really like. Um, so today I have sort of a story time video for you, and uh, the reason I thought of this is because of all the stuff that's gone on with United this week. So this is the story of my first real flight and my second flight that was with United and was an absolute disaster. So I figured with all the other horrible stuff that has happened with United this week, I might as well tell you guys what happened to me. Um, I didn't get stung by a scorpion, and I wasn't beaten and dragged off the plane. Not quite that dramatic, but not a good experience. So keep watching, and I'll tell you guys everything that happened. So as you guys know, I am from Appalachia, and we don't have a whole lot of airports. My hometown does have one, but it usually costs you double for the flight if you fly out of there, because you have to fly to like a real airport and then get on another plane there. So everybody just drives 2 or 3 hours to the closest city and gets on a plane there. It's much cheaper to drive. So I, of course, because of that, because people around me don't fly much, and why in God's name would anybody ever fly into West Virginia? Um, I don't have much experience. When I was like, I don't know, younger than 10, they had a air show, I guess that's what it was, at the airport back home. And for, I think it was like $5, you could go up in a plane. And it was like a six passenger propeller plane. And I just barely remember it. But that was my only experience in flying up until age like 27, something like that. And my senior year of college, in fact, I was actually done with classes. I just hadn't officially graduated yet. Um, I actually had to take a flight with a chapter advisor for my fraternity. We went to a conference in Chicago, and it was interesting. So keep in mind that I'm completely clueless about how any of this works, right? Like everywhere I've ever gone, I've driven, right? So I don't know. I know there's rules for packing bags. I know there's things you can have, things you can't have. There's a carry-on, there's checked baggage. I was vaguely familiar with all those terms. But what I didn't know was how any of that stuff actually worked. And so I was super nervous. Like I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm going to Guantanamo Bay." Like there's no way. I'm going to be so nervous, so out of place there. They're definitely going to think I'm a terrorist. Like this is just going to be bad. And I'm still super nervous in airports even after this. I just don't feel like I'm comfortable with them yet. Like I don't have enough experience. I don't know what I'm doing, and because I don't know what I'm doing, it makes me nervous. And then I'm like, well, I'm acting nervous in an airport. They're gonna think I'm a terrorist. So I got that whole thing going for me. Um, but in this case, I was going with this older gentleman who's in his mid 60s, who was our chapter advisor. So he was kind of helping me out. And my store manager at the time used to actually work for Travelocity. So she kind of helped me with the packing stuff. Well, um, the flight up there went really pretty well, except for a couple of things. We flew out of Columbus, Ohio, and flew to O'Hare. And during the flight, there was only a couple of things. Um, when we got onto the plane, I had no concept of how a plane takes off or lands. My only experience had been that propeller plane that I didn't even remember. My only other experience was Grand Theft Auto. So, I can break into the airport, steal a jet, and take off, of course, because when you're playing the game, you're not worrying about the comfort of the passengers in the plane. You just take the plane and floor it and take off, right? And sometimes you do it at an extreme angle, just as extreme as you can go without stalling the plane. What I didn't know is that's actually how it's done in real life. So I was a little freaked out when we actually took off. It was a I want to say like maybe 30 to 50 passenger, but it was a jet plane that we took from Columbus to Chicago. And once we were in the air, I think we were fine. I didn't have to experience turbulence, thank God, but that takeoff kind of freaked me out because not only did they basically floor it, go straight up, but then they had to circle around a couple times to get it going in the right direction, and it was like being on a roller coaster. Like the plane was just like that, and I'm like, surely this is not normal. Um, but I survived. That's the important thing. So I survived, and we're coming into Chicago. Um, and as we're approaching the shore of Chicago, I started to freak out a little bit more. And that is because when I guess the approach for O'Hare, you come across sort of just the north end of downtown Chicago. So as you're starting to get lower and starting to slow down a little bit, um, you can clearly see Chicago off to the left. I mean, the big buildings and stuff. I mean, you're fairly close to them. And I was already nervous, and I started to look around. And I didn't want to say anything, but I'm looking around, and nobody else looks nervous. I'm like, we shouldn't be this close to these buildings. And so I'm like, oh God. I'm like coming to terms with the fact that I'm gonna die in like a terrorist attack. And I was very happy when we got away from the buildings because I was just looking at everybody else. I was like, nobody else is freaking out. Maybe this is normal. But I was like, surely we're not supposed to be that close. Well, anyway, so we land. Everything's good. The only problem that I had, and by the way, I went on American Airlines on the way up there. So my United story is the trip home, and everything was fine except for like my bag. My bag was like extremely dirty. Like it looked like, I don't know, they like drug it through a coal mine or something. I don't know what the hell happened to it. And I've never got all that dirt off there. But it was filthy when I got it back. That was the only problem. But otherwise, the flight was good. So we go to our conference. We were doing our thing. And on the day that we're supposed to leave, we were... we had a little bit of extra time. So we were going to go explore the city and then come back. And as we're about ready to go down and explore the city, I get like a text from United, or maybe it was from the airport, but it was a United flight, and it says that the flight's going to be delayed like 45 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That gives us even more time. And then I keep throughout the day, and as we're starting to get ready to go get our bags and head back to the airport, we start seeing that it's more and more delayed. So at this point, it's delayed like 2 to 3 hours past the original time. And we finally get to the airport. The TSA guy was a total dick. Like, seriously. Fuck that guy. Then we get through, and I get to this counter where they're supposed to take your baggage. Like, not the TSA thing, but like where they're supposed to take your checked baggage to put on the plane. And dealing with the United counter there was even kind of a nightmare, because the lady like took the guy I was flying with, took his bags, completely ignored me even though we were standing there together. There was nobody else there, just kind of, like, kept ignoring me. I was like, hey, can I put mine up here? Can you weigh it and then take it? And she just like acted like I wasn't there. And then she started helping this other customer, and finally the guy that was with me was like, hey ma'am, he's been here for a while, can you take his bag? And she kind of had a real attitude about it, but then did. So I'm like, all right. So we get back into, I don't know what it's called, concourse maybe, somewhere back after you've gone through security and where all the restaurants and the waiting areas and stuff are, where the gates are. And we're waiting, and at this point, of course, it's been delayed several times. come to find out that they told us that there was some kind of mechanical issue with the plane, so they had to find us another plane. Well, they found so there was supposed to be another flight coming in from New Jersey to O'Hare, and then they were going to take that plane. Well, another hour or two passed, and finally they say, well, that plane, they couldn't find a pilot for it in New Jersey, so it's not here, that plane that we were supposed to take. So they still don't have a plane for us. And at some point while we were sitting at the gate, they changed the gate for our flight without telling anyone. And it just so happened that we checked the big light up board with everything on it, and so we went down to that gate. So now there's a group of, I don't know, like 30 to 50 of us that are sitting there waiting, getting really impatient. Finally, and I think at this point, I think our flight was supposed to leave at like 9 p.m. It's like 3, 4 in the morning. And they finally tell us, oh, we're just not going to have a flight for you at all. There's no flights going to Columbus throughout that entire day. Like it was like 4 in the morning or whatever. So that entire day there would not be any, and it would be the day after that. Well, I was in a huge rush. I had to get back to Ohio because I had an interview. So they ended up. At that point, I was just like, I'm fucking done. Like I'm fucking I was gonna try to get a bus or something and just go back because I was so frustrated with all of it. But the guy with me insisted that we fly back. We waited forever to get to the counter. The people at the counter basically said, well, we can't do anything for you, but over clear on the other side of the airport is the United, I don't know, like customer service desk or something. And we were at like a ticket counter, so they couldn't help us. We had to go to this other thing. So we literally went to the other side of O'Hare, and O'Hare is enormous. It was probably like at least a couple miles we walked to get over to this place. And there was literally, I mean, it was like almost like an entire wing of the airport that was just completely vacant. One person standing at this counter, and of course there was an enormous line. And when we finally got to them, they're like, okay, well, we can't really do anything for you. And so the guy that was with me, the older guy, he kind of argued with her, and she finally said, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll give you each two $10 meal tickets that you can use at the airport, and I will pay for your hotel. Like, her, not her in particular. They will comp a hotel room. Actually, they offered comp for both of us. I don't know why he turned that down, but he's like, no, we can share a room. So this gets even worse. So they book us on a flight for the following morning, but here's the catch. It's not going to Columbus. It's going to Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati's airport is actually in Kentucky. So we were going to have to find a way to get from Kentucky to Columbus, and then me get to Athens for my interview, which I don't know if you guys know Ohio, but it's like Kentucky's here, Cincinnati's here, Columbus is here, Athens is down here. So, ridiculous. So anyway, at this point, we've already checked our bags. They tell us we can't get our bags, so we don't have anything for our hotel stay. We get, of course, my phone's dead because O'Hare doesn't have any chargers, any places to charge your phone or any outlets. So then, and I don't even think they have Wi-Fi. So I just have my carry-on. That's it. We go to, I don't think I had my phone charger because I think I put it in my other suitcase. Anyway, so they tell us that they're going to get us this hotel, and they give us the hotel information. Well, we didn't know anything about the area, obviously, and we went down to whatever the waiting area was that they told us to go to beside the Hilton, where we're supposed to wait on the shuttle that goes to the hotel. Well, come to find out, after calling twice over like another 2-hour period to this hotel, that they don't even have a shuttle. And not only do they not have a shuttle, but they're located 35 miles away. Like, what? They weren't even in Chicago. They were like so far west of the airport. They were almost in, and don't kill me that I don't know geography. Is that Iowa that's west of there? That's how far out they were. And, like, what the actual fuck? So, I'm a broke college kid, so thankfully the old guy with me called a cab finally. We were getting really impatient. We're like, fuck this place. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. They're trying to round up transportation because they don't offer a shuttle. And there was like one guy and the two of us that were going to this hotel. And so finally, they we share a cab with this other guy. We take this huge trip. We check into the hotel at about 6 a.m. All right. We get maybe an hour, 2 hours max of sleep. Don't have time to eat. Have to pay another cab to go all the way back across the fucking state of Illinois to the airport. Then we get on the flight, and I will, to United's credit, I will say that there wasn't much of a problem with the return flight. There was some very bad turbulence while we were landing, but I think that was more to do with the way their airport is. You have to land over a river, and I just think there's a lot of wind off that. So we get to Cincinnati Airport, but now we're like a couple hours from Columbus still. So how are we going to get to Columbus? Well, we have to rent a car, spend more money to rent a car, drive the car, then to Columbus. But at this point, my luggage didn't show up. So my luggage is gone. The guy I'm traveling with got his. So we're like, where the fuck is my bag? So, okay, so we decide that we're going to go to the airport in Columbus just to check it, see if it's there. And lo and behold, it's there. So there was a flight that went to Columbus. They told us that we had to fly to Cincinnati because there were no flights for the next 2 days going to Columbus. But somehow my bag got there. So there was a flight to Columbus. So then I got my bag and I hightailed it to my interview. I didn't get a shower. I didn't get, like, I don't even think I had, I don't even know if I had a change of clothes. I don't know. I don't remember. But honestly, like, between not being able to help at all when the flight was canceled and delayed all those times, and lying to us about a flight not existing when it actually did, and then losing my bag, and like I said, it's not anything like what happened this week, but with all the stuff that happened with United, it really made me think, like, you know, I had this bad experience too. So I think in the future I'm probably not going to take United, even if it is the cheaper option. I'm probably going to try to avoid that, and probably going to try to get, you know, down the road some more experience flying, and you know, maybe some of the issues that I have will be resolved. Maybe it was just my lack of experience in some, but seriously, United kind of sucks. And yeah, so that's my story about my first real flight and the flight home, and just dealing with United. So it ended up costing us, by taking United, which is the cheapest flight, it cost us a ton more money for 2 cab rides, renting a car, and just, yeah, it was just ridiculous. And United didn't care. They wouldn't help at all. Like, not at all. So anyway, I got my bag, I got home, I got to my interview. I guess that's the important thing. But thank you guys for watching this. Next week, I'm going to have a financial video to And I'm kind of debating between one or two topics. So leave me a comment about which of these you'd rather see. I'm thinking about either making a video about how to sign up for Navient's rate reduction plan, which is where they lower your interest rate uh, and give you a smaller payment amount for like a year period. Or do you guys want me to post a video about how I got into credit card debt and my progress with paying that off? I'm gonna make both of those videos eventually, but just leave me a note in the comments and let me know which one you'd rather see next week. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe. I promise every 3 weeks a financial video, and between that, just videos about my life, things going on, and things I think you guys will find entertaining. So make sure to subscribe and like. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next week.